All right, so it's recording, but I'm probably going to cut this out
Yes, sir.
because we haven't started. Maybe I should have written this down somewhere on a notebook, but
You're good.
it's all good. Okay. So, am I in the frame? I think so. Yeah, I think I'm in the frame. Yeah, I'm in the frame. All right. So, all right. What's up, guys? I'm here with my brother Marvin, brother from another mother. Today, we're going to talk about school, career, and balancing those two. Um, So yeah, it's good to see you guys again. I'm super stoked about this. It's been a while since I've done a podcast with someone else and actually sat down to do like full length content besides just shorts. So anyway, without further ado, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeehaw.
Maybe where you're from, your background, and how we know each other.
Okay. So they call me Marvin Hernandez because that's my name. So let's see. I am from Graham, North Carolina. Was born in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Lived in Snow Camp for a couple years. Lived in like different places like Morningside Drive. Yeah,
Oh,
but
Morningside Drive. That sounds familiar.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Eastbrook Apartments. Well, they
Mm-hmm.
used to be Eastbrook,
Yeah. 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 Okay.
and so
Yeah. Yeah.
let's see. Yeah, my background, man, is raised by a single mother. Um, I had I had an unfortunate event happen when I was 2 years old, July 4th, 1997, where I lost my biological father through a raid that happened in my house. And so, yeah, just always been kind of raised by my mom who tried her absolute best to as a praying woman. And I always love to like talk about my mom and how much of a hero she is. And this is just this is part of my background here. But when my dad got raided and like he had to go get deported, he we went to go visit him. And so like this is just like a beautiful story about faith and like how gives an insight into like how my mom was and how she tried her best. And so we were coming back from the country of Mexico, and we got pulled at the river. And so my mom was in the interrogation room, and I was in the other side. Like, so I could have been like a foster kid. I could have been in the system. Um, and so my mom said a prayer, and she said, "Lord, if you are real, I give me my son. Let me go home, and I will serve you." And so needless to say, like they let us go. We went home, and my mom found a church. And so when I was like around 5, 6, she started going to church, and she was just dragging me along with her. So she was a praying mom, a single parent, working hard for barely minimum wage, couldn't speak English, and so she's always just been that. And so like that's my background, like a mom that tried her absolute best, and then the times that she couldn't, life had to teach me. And so the way that we met is I got invited to a Tuesday night men's group with the emphasis on being men of God and being pure men in a culture that's kind of hard to do. And so that's how we met. And yeah, that's how we met.
Wow. I
Yeah.
didn't know all that. I didn't know the
No
other
one does.
stuff.
No,
Yeah, that's so cool. I
no.
mean, it's very inspiring to hear. It's very like heartwarming.
Yeah.
Honestly, like what the Lord can do. Um, wow. Um, so just kind of going like off script a little bit. Like, how
Yeah.
do you think that has like contributed to like your journey now, as far as your goals, and you recently graduated from UNC Chapel Hill,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, majoring in.
Communications studies and a minor in entrepreneurship.
Oh, dude, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, like my life journey, I would say there are days where I have to take a step back and realize like what the Lord has done in my life. I really love that song by Passion called What He's Done. And like it can get me because like I just look back and like though let's say like I'm trying to reach this goal and like I feel like I'm not going there. But when people remind me, whether it's friends, whether it's coworkers, whether it's just a person on the street, and they remind me, and they're like, "Hey, what was your life like XYZ years ago?" And so I'll like look back, and I'm like, "Yeah, like the Lord has brought me through this. Why would He fail now?"
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and for me, it's like I look at like the way that I grew up, very different. And so like I should have really been a statistic. And so when I mean statistic, it's like single mom, no dad, minority, low income, Graham High School. Nothing wrong with
Yeah.
Graham High School. Just it's just a bad
It's up
education.
for debate. It's up for debate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
education.
Yeah.
Um, my teachers did not believe that I would even make it past 20. And like
Wow.
I've seen some of them, and they're like, "You're alive," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah,"
Wow.
but it's like
Yeah.
it's like even that, it's like I'm like, "Yeah, Lord, like you did it, like you did it," and like, and it's one of those things where it's like the Lord opens the door, but like I also have to put in the work,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so yeah, like that's like how I can say it's like sometimes like if I feel defeated in a task, I look back and I'm like, the Lord's been with me, and He's helped me through it. He will do it again, and it's just like a resilience mindset of like not giving up and being persistent in anything, whether it's you know money, whether it's working, even like the things that like I might have a day where like I can't do it, but it's like get back up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like performing better under pressure, under like adversity,
Yeah,
you know?
actually,
Yeah.
yeah, real talk.
Doing
Like,
more with less, and
yeah,
there's something about that that speaks volumes to like our soul and our spirit. And it really makes us like dependent upon the Lord. And it was just making me think about how like the wireless device that makes like these mics work, it wasn't working for several weeks, and I
hmm,
couldn't get it to cut on. So then I just said a prayer beforehand,
yeah, yeah,
like, okay, God, like I really need this to work, and like I need it to charge. And this, we've been talking about this podcast for a while now, and
yeah,
so like, Lord, please, like, you know what do I need to do for this to work, and
mm.
then he gave me, some real personal answers, and then all of a sudden it just started charging, and I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah, little things,
Okay.
man,
And
like that.
so
Awesome.
yeah, but like prayer is powerful, and um making a habit out of that is,
Hmm.
it's amazing, and it just changes your perspective on everything that's going on, regardless of what's going on, and it gives you hope and something to, want to be and continue to do.
Yeah,
So,
literally, man. Like, uh, dude, like, even if, like, let's say, like, it doesn't come true, the fact that I got to talk to the Lord,
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
it's one thing. Like, hey, like God, and anyways, like some people might debate me on that, but I don't know. It's just like that's how beautiful prayer can be,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But anyways, yeah, bro, that's awesome.
Yeah, let's see if this gets on, because I was going to try to pull some more questions,
You're
but
good. You're good, man. Off
like
script,
going
dude.
up, yeah, definitely, for
Off
sure.
the
I
dome.
love it, dude. Yeah, yeah, letting the Lord work. So you were doing a little bit of like, acting
Mm-hmm.
here and there. You were telling me that you like had an agent, and
Mm-hmm.
you were getting some gigs here and there. Actually, you got a couple of nice gigs that you've showed me, like working
Yeah.
for like an ad, and a
Mm-hmm.
couple of those actually. So I guess just tell us a little bit about that, and
Okay.
what goes into the mental preparation with that.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to want to do that to begin with?
So the way that I grew up was very different. Well, to me, it's different in comparison to other people, but there's also a lot of people that grew up the same way as I did.
Yeah.
So, for instance, like, uh, when I say low resources, I mean like low resources. Like I'm talking about like my mom would have to go to work, and sometimes I would be sleeping by myself at home. And when people would have summer camps or childcare, my childcare was literally sitting in front of the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up watching like shows like Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons, Matlock, and then like around
Wow.
2 o'clock when the TV
I don't know
courts
any of those
would
shows.
come on, like I would get off of it, and then
Yeah.
like regular like 4 o'clock, the cool stuff would come on, Everybody Loves Raymond, King of
Yeah.
Queens,
Okay. Yeah.
Friends,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
like those were shows that like I'm like, yo, like these are funny, like and honestly, like my life, was filled with a lot of tragic and like traumatic events that, like the joy that sitcoms would bring me would be like unmatched.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and it's because like that was just it. And then like now that I'm older, it's like the joy that the Lord has given me is still unmatched, you know. And so I've always wanted to do that. And so like King of Queens, like Kevin James, like I
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
copy everything he does, like Hitch,
Yeah. Yeah.
like his dance moves, I can do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, like I can dance it to the T, making the
Yeah.
pizza,
Yeah.
making the
Yeah.
pizza.
Yeah.
And but it's
That was
funny
a great
because
movie.
like I would like I always thought like that would be cool
Yeah.
to do. And but as I was getting older, and when I mean older, like I'm talking about like 18 and going to different places, like people were like, I can see you in TV.
Yeah.
People were
Yeah.
like, I can, like I remember
Yeah.
coming back on a missions trip, like this lady that I've never met a day in my life literally sat down, and like I sat down right beside her in the aisle, and me and her were talking. She's retired, and like she was very nice because she even like gave me $20 for cab fare because she said I would take you home, but like I have my friend that I got to take home,
Yeah.
but she gave me $20. But she was a retired news anchor,
Oh, wow.
and she told me I
Oh.
have the face.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was
The
like,
persona.
yeah. And so like, but like the more people like that I like I've met, they're like, yeah, you can do this, you can do this. And like
Yeah.
honestly, like I've always wanted to do it
Mm-hmm.
because it's cool, but also because like I wanted to do it so people can feel what I used to feel when I was
Mm.
watching it. Like,
Yeah.
hey, like I'm having the toughest day of my life.
Mm-hmm. You're taking up the mantle of those like actors in a sense too, because it goes beyond like just entertainment. It's like you're um, maybe showing them something by portraying a character
Hmm.
in a movie or show, um, and in the way that
Hmm.
that you experienced when you were growing up, and
Yeah, like to literally like entertain,
yeah,
like to
yeah,
not feel that void, but it's like hey, like
yeah, yeah.
let you stop thinking about this and like bring you some hope in a hopeless world,
Mm,
you know.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so for me, like that's what like I wanted to pursue it and do it.
Yeah,
And
it's like a way of connecting with other people, perhaps without even knowing them.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
literally, like for me, it's one of those things where like I'm a big Matt Chandler guy right now,
Mm,
and kind of
mm-hmm.
have been for like the last years, and like
Yeah,
even with
pastor, right?
yeah, in
Pastor, yeah.
Texas, and
Mm-hmm.
even like
Yeah.
with Pastor Mark, my pastor now, like I connect with him to a T,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, and so when I see my pastor, like I'll hug him, tell him like I love him, and we'll talk, and then, but like I bring up Matt Chandler because I'm seeing him through a screen,
Mm-hmm.
but like I know good and well, like if I were to see him, I'm like, hey man, and like just talk and connect with the
Mm-hmm.
person that's never met me,
Mm-hmm.
but because of your gift and your effect, like hey, I can connect with you.
Mm-hmm. Maybe even like relate to, right?
Yeah,
Like on some things, and
yeah.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
like for me, like with the acting world, it's like we're from Alamance County, man. Like we're not known. We made it on TMZ like twice over like some of the worst things that you can even think about.
Yeah.
But
I think there was a police chase that made it onto True TV back when it was big,
that's funny.
on here, and like I actually know, like I think one of the officers,
Yeah,
who was involved in that police chase.
that's pretty funny.
So
That's pretty
his
funny.
car was stolen, so somebody got into
Jeez.
his car, stole it,
Yeah.
and drove off, and they
Yeah.
had to chase a guy that with a stolen police
Yeah.
car. So
And so for me, like, I was like, well, how do I start? Like, because, I'm not going to go to LA. I'm not going to go to New York, and like you can make it from wherever you're at. And so I needed to find somebody. And I did. I found someone here local that, um, we're just going to say like it was a learning process. But through going through this person, learning the process, like I picked up a few things here and there. And like one thing that I did was I went on extra on a TV show called Hightown. And then there I was talking to a guy that's a PA, production assistant, and he told me about an agency. And so I went to the agency and I was like, hey, how do I do this? And like they liked what's the word that I can put it? Mm, they liked my mentality and my go gettingness.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so they're like, hey, they gave me an opportunity to audition and they signed me.
yeah. The drive, the passion.
Yeah, and so and them again, they were like, there's something special about you. And like,
Hmm.
coming from the way that I grew up, like I was never told that. I was
Hmm.
never told that I was
Hmm.
belittled, berated, never felt useful. And so sometimes even now as like a 29-year-old, like I still struggle with that and I have to be reminded and reassured by like the Lord, like, hey, yes you are.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and so yeah, like they signed me and like they've given me job opportunities. Now here's the thing that people don't really understand: just because you have an agent doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get all these jobs, because there's going to
Hmm.
be a dry season, there's going to be a fruitful season.
Hmm.
And like it's even with like a record label, just because you have a record deal doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to become the next platinum winning artist. Like you got to work for it. I tell people, think of it like real estate. Everybody wants to be a real estate agent, but you have to go work for that.
Hmm.
And and so
Yeah, yeah. Like
um
100% commission. You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so like for me, like it's still going, like hey, I'll get auditions here. Sometimes I don't get it. But
Hmm.
lately, and because I'm still working at that, like this last year I kind of had to like slow down a bit, but now it's like picking back up because there's a friend of mine that I have met through Carolina who he was in the TV business. Like I'm talking about, he managed like Elton John, John
Mm.
Denver,
Okay.
Ringo, Paul McCartney,
Yeah.
like all these big names. And him and I have been communicating, and like he's telling me like here, like he told me this. He said, Marvin, think of it like this: in order to go to Bozeman, Montana, you have to come up with a plan. And he said, me and you, we're gonna write up a plan for how to get you bigger, not necessarily bigger, but like more opportunity. Because like I've
Yeah.
told him like, hey, like I just need a shot. I
Yeah.
just need a
Yeah.
shot.
Hmm.
And he said, yeah, and like you have something. He said, but you have to get there. And so I'll bring that up because one, you asked the question like, how do I prepare my mind for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's because he told me something, and he said, this is what you need to do. And when you do this, Marvin, he said, here's why it's so important that you do this. He said, because you're going to get rejected. You're going to
Hmm.
get rejected,
Hmm.
and you can either A, be like, okay, well, I know my worth, and go on to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you can be like, why don't they like me?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
don't they like me? And then he said, and
There's
then
always a learning process there, though. You know, you
well,
can always take something from each of those
no, well,
experiences too, right?
it's more like you get like if you, well, it's like you're either going to rise and continue going, or you're going to fall and then you're going to give up.
Mm.
And so like even like Craig Armstrong, this Emmy award winning producer for Survivor, that like he gave me his number and like we connected. The first tip he gave me was like, don't give up, don't ever give up.
Mm.
He said, Marvin, like I've won an
Yeah.
Emmy and I've thought about giving up numerous times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like these people here like that are in this industry, like they've told me like you have to have this mentality of fortitude and resilience, that you just don't give up. And so because like what Max, the guy that I'm talking about, he told me, he was like, if you don't know your worth and you get rejected, he said, all of a sudden you start saying like, why don't they like me, why don't they like me? And then he says, and then you start getting all of these childhood demons that you never fought and never
Mm.
confronted. And
Yeah.
then next thing
Yeah.
you know, you're going into questioning your self-worth, and then you're ruining your mental health, and then next
Yeah.
thing you know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
quit.
Mm.
And so
I feel that.
yeah, and so it's one of those things where like he told me, he said, you need to have this preparation here so that once you get rejected, whether it's in life or whether it's in this, you're good. You know who you are. Because he said, you're always going to have 1,000 reasons as to why you play life safe. And you only need one reason to play life unsafe. And that's because you don't want to be stuck, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so, like, that's how I like, and it's a learning process,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
And then like I love this quote by David Goggins, and I'm using it in PG.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm very different. You know, everybody's different, but it's like when people say like you are an odd one, I'm like I'm not odd. I'm not crazy. I'm just not you. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like
That's a great way to put it.
yeah, but like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
I
love
don't
David Goggins.
I'm not like I didn't mean that in like a very like I didn't mean that in any way like oh I'm this person. No, it's just
Yeah,
like man
yeah.
like life has thrown lemons and
Hmm.
curveballs and fastballs and I've been out, but man like I just choose to get up. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It adds to like the creativity
Yeah.
process too, for
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
You know, if you can see yourself like that, and that's a great place to be, dude.
Yeah,
Wow,
man.
thanks for sharing.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to pull this up
Do your
here.
thing, brother.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
straight.
gonna.
I'm having fun.
So, what values do you believe are important to carry with you going into any profession, but specifically the one you're going into now?
For
And I
me,
guess that's kind of redundant because you kind of went over that a little bit too,
yeah.
but
The number one value that I would say is man like my faith. You know,
hmm,
like I'm asked all the time. It's like what defines you, and I'm like my faith. You know,
yeah,
I've had a couple friends from the gym. You know, because we play pickup basketball or we're
yeah,
working out, and so you got testosterone running deep, and then like
yeah.
you'll start to argue or like you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then like you apologize, and then the friends hit you with like dude, you're such a nice guy, and I'm like, nah, it's my faith.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like it's literally like my faith, you know, because like the Lord has just been good to me, and so that would be the number one value that I would say to carry us. Like you are a representation of Christ, and if you don't have that faith or value, like man, like start looking into it, you know,
yeah, yeah,
and
for real.
and so and then like number two, it's like I'm telling you, like this has been like my word for the year. Your why, like you
Oh
know,
wow. Yeah.
because like I can be caught up looking. I was talking to a friend today that we were just talking about. You know, he just opened up to me about what he makes, and he told me what he makes, and it's double what I make in my regular 9 to 5 job. But it's funny because I thought to myself, man, I would love to be making that. But then I think to myself, what they say, once you start making that, it's not enough.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
$150,000 a year can be a lot, but once
Mm-hmm.
you start making it, it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
like,
And then to whom much is given, much is expected, too.
yeah,
You know.
and then like, but what's funny to me is like hearing him talk. He wasn't complaining
Mm-hmm.
because he's in his why, and so like that's your why. It's like to get into it because it's like you know, if you're looking to like be making like lots of money, like I'm not saying at all don't chase wealth, don't chase that at all. You know, like chase it, like do it, you know, it's rewarding and like God in the scriptures wants us to be like fruitful in that area to bless others, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like you have to know why you're getting into something. And it's like if it's for a paycheck, you'll be miserable. If it's
Mm-hmm.
for like a purpose, like God, you have me here for learning, then it will change. It will
Yeah,
change. Like
yeah,
Pastor Marcus told me, he said like focus on what you know. Right now, you have a job, and in this job, you can learn a how to do it right when it's your turn.
mm-hmm.
You know, and like, and so for me in my job, like you know, I'm like, there's some things like I'm like, but when like you know, like there's been some situations where like I'm like, check your heart because like the Lord's trying to teach you something here,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah, yeah.
like, yeah, so faith, your why,
Like
you
where
know,
he's like, "Why are you actually doing this, Levi?" You know, or for me personally, or
yeah,
like, "Are you doing this for the right reasons?" Or X,
yeah,
Y, Z, and
mm.
you know, so
So yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's probably more to it, but it's also like another value that I always say is like, and this is for, this is more for like personal growth. Don't get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get comfortable.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like, you know, they say like wealthy people say like always seek like the bigger juice. Like for me, I would say don't get comfortable. Don't get complacent in the sense of like, hey, that person is a CEO. What makes you not able to become that CEO? You know?
yeah, yeah.
And so yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. How much different are you than him, really, if you think
yeah,
about it? And then,
and because it's here's the thing, like in our culture, like you know, like there's still
And not to
killing.
compare yourself, but like, what do I have to do to get to that next spot? Essentially, that's kind of more so how I was phrasing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but like also like too like the reason like if I don't get comfortable is like, man, our culture like Hispanic men like they work hard,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're also in their
Yeah.
50s killing their body,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like dude, like the knowledge you have can be so useful in like a manager role or like a supervisor, superintendent, but because like sometimes they never choose to get higher,
Mm-hmm.
and they're complacent where they're at. That's just what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I totally get that.
yeah, brother.
Wow. Thanks for sharing, dude.
Of course.
I don't know if I have anything.
Hit me with it, man.
Let's see. Also, I might check the camera real quick. I was thinking about doing that for a sec there. Oh, okay, we're still good. Yeah. I was low on space earlier.
Oh, you're straight. You're straight.
So any second it could cut off and say not enough disk space. You
Gotcha,
make
gotcha.
some, and I was like, oh gosh, I hope it doesn't cut off. But oh, this is the last one here actually.
Mm-hmm.
What people in your life
Sheesh.
do you believe helped contribute to you accomplishing your goals?
Man, there's a lot of people. A lot. Like, they say it takes a village, and honestly, it does. Like, uh, man, sheesh. I could spend hours just thinking on people and their effect and then like thanking them, and like I don't think it will ever be enough. First and foremost, like my Lord and Savior, because it's like literally like I may have put in the work, but He's the one that opened the door.
Mm,
You know?
mm,
And so
yeah.
yeah, I couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
could not do it without Him. I would say my mom, she's helped me like, and just like because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be alive.
Yeah.
Like I told you, like I should have been a statistic. I should have been. I had friends that I grew up with that didn't make it to 15.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends of mine that didn't make it to 18 before they got arrested multiple times, and
Yeah.
like it's not weird, but it's like it's a little odd when you read the paper and you're like, man, we grew up together, and they're like arrested for,
Yeah.
or like they were busted, and
Yeah. And you can't
yeah,
help but think like, well, that could have been me,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
wasn't. And
mhm,
by the grace of the Lord, by the grace of God.
yeah, for sure.
Um,
And uh one person that like a couple people that I think in my mind when it comes to like school is like her name is Clarissa. um I call her Clee. But like Clee helped me get into like Carolina because she recommended me,
oh
and
wow.
like she's now happily retired. Her and her husband Mark and their kid, and their dogs, and like but like I love Clee because she like adopted me as like I was her own son, and
Mm.
pushed for me to like rise up, and I
Yeah, she believed in you, and
yeah,
that goes a long way.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think of Mike Zimmerman, who I love that man to death. You know, like I see him and I call him Puddin', and like I remember something happened in my life that was personal, and he just picked me up and he was like, "Hey," he would drive me. We would sit in his RV. We would just talk, and like he would push me to like, you got to rise up, and
Mm-hmm.
I think of like Sam McVeigh at work, and like Sam McVeigh, he is just so special, and like he just speaks life into me, and like you know Sam Burnett, like he's been there like helping me out.
Love Sam.
Yeah, Pastor Mark, my pastor, like yeah, man, like I'm telling you, like I can just go on for days. Like these people that like that have
Yeah.
helped me back then to help me now. Like I have a couple friends that are personal, like that, like they're helping me out now. I think my stepdad, he, me and him may have had our like differences growing up, and like sometimes we have them now, but it's like, he has helped set a standard of how I need to live, and like, I remember a couple years ago, like, uh, I don't know what it was that hit me, but I was like, man, like I gave that man a living hell. And all he ever did was just try to like love me like his own. And like I remember that night that I went up to him and I said thank you for everything. Um I think of my mother. I probably already mentioned my mother.
Yeah,
I
that was fun.
dude, yeah, like there's just like a bunch of people and then like there's different people that like man, like they're just them.
Yeah,
Like
it makes you realize how important it is to be surrounded by the
yeah.
right people
Yeah.
when
No,
you're trying
literally
to pursue your greater
literally.
purpose and you're trying to live in
Mhm.
that why, as you were mentioning earlier.
No, literally, like because it's like I think of like with my journey with school. If I can continue going on, like I think of this girl that I used to go to school with in Florida. Her name is Dulce.
Hmm.
Dulce was like a double major in
Yeah.
photography and like psycho. No, sorry, she was a double major and she did photography for the school at Southeastern University, and she also worked in the cafeteria. And I bring her up because she kind of had like a tough life that her mom wasn't even at her graduation for high school.
Wow.
And like I remember like she was part of our friend group, and I just remember how like she would always vocalize how she like she busted her tail off to get a full ride, and she's
Yeah.
double majoring, and like and here I am like slacking off. And so like I just remembered like when COVID hit and I realized to myself like man, I dropped out of college. And like I said, like she was like busting her tail off with no support. And here I have people that are trying to tell me get up out of your life.
Mm,
And and I was like,
I feel that.
and I bring her up because it's like there are people whose stories like I'm looking from afar and I'm like, man, if they can do it, I can too.
Yeah.
I look at this guy, his name is Johnny, like he goes to my best friend's church, and Johnny like he same thing as I did, was going to like a Christian university, dropped out. He had a child, and his engagement didn't go well, and so he's a single dad that moved from Texas to North Carolina, and he was just busting his tail off. And so what did he do? He went to his local community college, worked his tail off, transferred into UNC, graduated from UNC in a medical degree, and
Wow.
now he's working full time for Duke.
Wow.
And so when I
That's
remember,
amazing.
and I remember talking to him, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you can do it."
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. Like there are people whose stories like I can hear, and I'm like, I'm inspired. I
Yeah.
want to do it. I want
Yeah.
to do it. And like man, like there's
Yeah.
so many
Dude,
like
that's like speaking to me right now, like everything you're saying, dude. It's
yeah.
like, wow.
Hmm.
Mm.
And so it's like there are people out there like, and I hate that like if I can't name them all, but it's like it just even my friends from Tel Aviv, like man, like they pour into my life and
Yeah.
they're like rise,
Hmm.
Ezra, Asia, Victor, like yeah, all these people like literally
What's
like
Tel Aviv?
Tel Aviv is like the church that I've been going on mission trips with and like
Oh,
helping
okay,
them out.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like man, but like I'm telling you, like from
This most recent one you got back from, right?
yeah,
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 okay,
yeah.
okay.
And so like literally like it's I'm thankful, man. Like I don't know where to even freaking start.
Yeah.
I do not know where to start. And it's just like I'm just a grateful man, really grateful because like literally I've not been able to do anything on my own. All the Lord, and literally it does take a village, and it's like the Lord
Mm-hmm.
has brought in the right people at the right time, at the right season.
Mm.
And
Those coincidences, like when you start to pray and like, dude, that you think were coincidences before you start seeing like,
yeah,
wow, that was God, you know?
yeah, even
Yeah.
like like a guy that just came to my mind, Daniel Merle. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love him.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
like
on point.
that's my brother.
Yeah.
That's like he's part of my king's table,
Mm-hmm.
of accountability, and like guides me and tells me when I'm being stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm forever grateful, forever grateful.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Wow. Well, dude, thanks for sharing. Thanks for being on. Thanks for just
I don't know what I
pumping
said
it
that was
up, you
good, but
know?
yeah,
So,
yeah. Thank you for
no, it
inviting me.
was, dude. It was like, dude, it was great. Spirit led, and like I learned something from it. I was very encouraged by a lot of the stuff said, well, what you said, and um, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to go back to school too at some point, but that's
Do
another
it.
story. But yeah,
Yeah, man.
you know,
If I can do it, you sure as heck can do it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was resonated with me when you said, you know, when you were talking about Dulce and how she didn't have no support, and yet she double majored, and here you are, with your support. And it was just like I was thinking the same way, like all these people that I have that are rooting for me to do all these things, and
Yeah.
I'm just like slacking off, and as I tend to do
Yeah.
sometimes, and
And then,
I'm
like,
like, what am I doing?
I tell people
Yeah,
this all the time.
yeah,
Now it's like I now get why my mom was the way that she was with me. Like she
yeah,
literally came
yeah,
here, and like you and I both know, like coming over here is no easy task.
yeah. My mom was an immigrant too. Like she didn't speak English either.
Yeah,
So
but it's
yeah,
like they came here and like you know PG, but it's like the coyotes would take advantage.
mm-hmm.
There was no guarantee that you would make it here alive.
Yeah,
Like the days of travel, no food, no breaks, nothing. And so it's like my mom, I get why she would get on my case
yeah,
because it's like I came here so you could have a better life.
yeah, yeah.
And like and so when she sees me squander it,
Mm,
it like it's like almost like a spit in the face,
mm-hmm.
and like and this is not just for like any it's like Hispanic culture, it's for like everybody, like your parents, like they want you to do well,
Yeah,
and so like they're rooting for you.
yeah, yeah,
And so for me it's like the best way that I can honor them is by doing that,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's great.
that just came off the
Yeah,
dome.
that's great to hear.
I'm
No, but
sorry.
anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks for that. Anyway, like this has been um podcast with Marvin, Cheeseball Adventures. Please be sure to let us know what y'all think. If there's anything else we can include in the next episode, it's your boy Levi here. I'm not calling myself Cheeseball anymore, but y'all can if y'all want.
I don't know what this means, but like I hope people don't think that like something bad. It was just being goofy.
Oh no,
You know what I'm saying?
you're good. Yeah, you're good. Anyway, yeah, like, comment, hit that notification bell on your way out the door, and subscribe if you want. Okay.
All the boy on
Anyway,
the gram.
yeah, peace. Oh yeah, I'll tag him. I'll list his links in the description below. So yeah, feel free. All right. Yeah.
Right on, brother.